Did you know that more than 128,000 Muslims are currently in detention camps in the central Rakhine State, which is on the western coast of Myanmar, where they have been confined since 2012, and that at least 34 Muslim villages have been burned down across the state? My topic is the crisis in Myanmar, but more specifically about the temple burnings in Rangoon and Mandalay and how each was different from the other. I am half Burmese, and while I myself have never been there, a few of my uncles have, and I've talked to them about this and researched it extensively. My mom and her brothers were actually born there and lived in Rangoon and afterwards in Mandalay for a while before coming here. So today I'm going to be talking about what Myanmar is, or how it's more commonly referred to as Burma, how the temple burnings affected Rangoon, and how the temple burnings affected Mandalay. And I chose to compare Rangoon and Mandalay since they are the biggest cities in Burma. So my first thing is what Myanmar or Burma is. So it's a small third world country under China, and I say small third world party in the sense that it's very much like a stereotypical one. So it's very behind in the times, where the women are usually more expected to stay at home, cook and clean, and basically just serve their husbands. And also how they're practically supposed to get married really early on, so they can try to give birth as many times as they can before it's too late for them. And they usually get married to older men who are usually about 30 to 50. Since it's also a small third world country, there's also practically no separation of religion and government. So most of the inhabitants are either from Sri Lanka or Cambodia, which is around 60 million of them, with a small population of other ethnicities, but the actual number of Burmese people is very small. And again, since I just said, since there's little to no separation of religion and government, and since most people there are Buddhists, that is a majority religion there, and they oppress the other religions, mostly Jewish people there, but also Christians and others, obviously. So it's formally known as Myanmar, but it's more commonly referred to as Burma, and the race there, the people who actually come from there, are Burmese. So I'm going to be talking now about how the temple burnings affected Rangoon. Rangoon is the capital of this country. It's the biggest city, along with Mandalay as the second biggest city. The temple burning started because the religious minority wanted to rise and fight back against the Buddhists, hence the fact that it's called temple burnings. And according to Time magazine online, Buddhist moms were targeting members of minority faiths, mostly Muslims. Buddhists claimed lives before this because of their leader, Uwarathu, saying in Rangoon that they are a threat to our country. And many Muslims have been killed over the years, and in 2016-2017, the minority faiths decided to rise up and burn temples and burn and kill their oppressors. According to my aunt, who lived there during this time before coming here in late 2017, in Rangoon, they not only decided to burn the Buddhist temples down, but also decided to burn and kill in other ways the people who were living there. They went from house to house and were killing or burning people they knew or were convinced of Buddhist faith in retribution for the past. And I say kill in other ways because some of them in Rangoon, they would go and rape the women there before killing them, and then they would also sometimes kill like teenagers and like practically older children-ish sometimes, so which was not great for them, but and then now I'm going to be talking about how in comparison in Mandalay, even though it is also one of the bigger cities, they weren't as extreme. They still did burn down the temples, but they didn't harm anyone other than like the people who might have been in the way or something like that, but they didn't go out of their way as they did in Rangoon to do harm. And according to the New York Times, in Mandalay, most of the problems stem from having a large population of Chinese people who were taking over the city, as opposed to Rangoon, which didn't have that problem. The Chinese population in Mandalay had taken control of many businesses by force because they saw the Burmese people as beneath them. And in Mandalay, again, it was controlled by a large portion of Chinese people who have overrun the city and dominated it. So when the temple burnings began, they saw that as an opportunity to take more revenge or just cause chaos in general to the city. So, in conclusion, Burma has suffered from religious persecution because it is a third world country, and the government hasn't progressed far since it first became a country, which resulted in many towns and cities having their Buddhist temples burned down, and in some places where it became really extreme, people who followed that faith have lost their lives. This is not to say that they didn't deserve revenge for oppressing and killing people with minority faiths, but it's still something that was horrific that happened in that country. So Burma has been in this sort of place since practically forever, as much as my parents and my grandmothers have told me, because of the dominance of one religion and the oppression of others, but has since tried to become better, probably by becoming more inclusive and having more people with different faiths be in government also. In Rangoon and Mandalay, the temples have either been restored or rebuilt by now, and the government has agreed to stop being as oppressive, like I just said, while Mandalay still has problems with their Chinese population. It has significantly decreased since when this all started.